All right, hello. This is Mr. H with some key takeaways from week 7 of Purdue University's Special Education EDPS 51500. So this takeaway is going to be the four purposes of a structured reinforcement system, right? So those kind of four key parts. You'll find as we go through them, they all kind of relate. Like it seems like breaking it down into four is more for categorical reasons. You can kind of think of it more as just a general theory behind structured reinforcement systems. So the first one is to manage behavior, right? Any sort of, well, not any reinforcement system, but in regards to what the previous videos have all been about, which is behavioral analysis and kind of the steps encompassing that. Clearly, the purpose here of the structured reinforcement system is going to be to manage behaviors. These can be, negative behaviors, or not negative, we'll say, quote, bad, or like undesired, there we go, that's a good word, undesired or non-desirable behaviors, or even sustaining good ones, right? Some learned behaviors are beneficial, and we want to reinforce and strengthen and make sure those become lasting, um, behaviors. So that's the first one is manage behaviors. The second one is you're going to impose artificially high intensity reinforcing stimuli, right? So that's kind of our textbook definition of what's happening here. And basically that's like within the classroom environment, it's really praising, well, in this case with the stimuli for that positive behavior, or not positive, but that desired behavior is so rewarding that it's going to create a feedback loop, right? So that's kind of the high intensity reinforcement. Every day in the real world, every time you do something right, there's not going to be somebody there to really just cheer you on, and to really provide necessarily a constant source of stimuli. But in a structured reinforcement system, we are going to do that because we want to solidify that cause and effect, right? And that actually goes both ways. So we also want high intensity reinforcing stimuli for sort of the quote unquote like bad behaviors too, or like how we address or the consequence that we dole out. So we still want logical consequences, but it's just kind of, that high intensity is staying on it. So like if you see something repeatedly happening within reason, right, because it's those logical consequences, it's addressing it every time. So even though in, say, quote, the real world, but really just the world outside of education, some things might slide, some things might slip, but it's just within that realm trying to minimize that. That's kind of how I conceptualize that high intensity reinforcing stimuli. Third is going to be, it creates a sort of a test setting for how reinforcement works outside of education, right, in their everyday lives. So what happens once they're out of their pre-K through 12, public ed system, right? So that's in showing that it kind of goes back to that cause and effect, and this is where I said breaking it down into four is more for kind of logistics. They all kind of meld together. So this is really allowing students or learners to understand the larger cause and effect behind behaviors and actions, things like that. And then the fourth and final reason is it's going to create the value of a natural pool of reinforcers, right? That's kind of a key takeaway within a key takeaway. So natural reinforcers and teaching students the value and to understand that is huge, right? So this is not necessarily intrinsic motivation because there can be extrinsic natural reinforcers, but it's more so to say that like how are things reinforced in every day. So a good one to think about is, a lot of classes will employ a token board or a token system, or you can even call it a token economy. And that's actually teaching those beginning steps to a natural reinforcer as long as you eventually transfer that skill or kind of translate that token board as they grow, so make it more age appropriate. to the actual economics of life, right? Like if you, you enter the workforce, you succeed, you do well, you get paid, right? That's the same thing as earning gold stars. Um, it's all an economy of sense, right? So what you put in is what you get out. Um, so yeah, so those natural reinforcers are huge, right? Think about it as, as adults, we constantly joke that we seek dopamine, and that in and of itself is a natural reinforcer, right? If you do things that make you feel good, it's going to reinforce that behavior. So think altruism and philanthropy, things like that. So, yeah. So just to break that down again, those this was the four purposes of structured reinforcement. So that's managing behavior, high intensity reinforcing stimuli, creating an environment that's like a test for the everyday world, um, and the value of natural reinforcers. So yeah, thanks for watching.